Today is the 18th Sunday in Ordinary Time Cycle C. The first reading is from the book of Ecclesiastes, and it calls all human effort vanity of vanities. Vanity can mean inflated pride in oneself or appearance, or it can refer to something that is valueless or meaningless. The author Kohelet tells us that once we make ourselves the center of the universe, from our perspective, all our efforts appear to be in vain. From the human point of view, life is a struggle, and we may or may not succeed. We may accumulate many goods, or we can lose them all. But even if we do accumulate lots of goods, when we eventually die, we have to leave everything behind. The main reason is because we have no control over time. More precisely, we do not have control over the length of our lives. However, if our true destiny is a life with God, death is not something to fear, but is a welcome relief from our toils on earth. Our purpose in this life is to become like God, not in power and might, but in love. Therefore, we must see the challenges we face as opportunities to grow in love and not a stretch to our security or attacks on our pride. We shall understand why Jesus said, "The greatest of all must be the servant of all." We tend to measure our children by our own standards of wealth and power, and we do not recognize that as creatures of God, our role is the development of humanity. Therefore, service to others is what builds up humanity. As we become more loving, our kindness, our gentleness, our compassion, and our forgiveness will transform those around us, thereby transform the society in which we live, making it mirrors God's love for us to each other. In Jesus' time, it was a predominantly agrarian, that is, farming culture. And there was limited fertile land for everyone. To become a wealthy farmer, you had to acquire land from others. The more land you had, meant others had less. Which is easier to remember. Who are the richest men in the world today? Or who are those persons that showed you kindness as a child? You know, kindness is forever remembered. Think of who was the most kind to you. The rich people in the world, by the way, in millions, billions, a billion is 1,000 million. Number 5, Warren Buffett at 118 billion. Bill Gates, number 4, at 129 billion. Frenchman by the name of Bernard Arnault, 158 million. Jeff Bezos, guy from Amazon, 171 billion. And Elon Musk, Tesla car and SpaceX manufacturer, 219 billion. 1,000 million is a billion. Why should there be people starving in the world while others have more than they could spend in 10 lifetimes? Gates and Buffett say that they plan to give most of their wealth to charity. But Jesus reminds us that when we die, and one day we shall all die, we cannot take our material wealth with us. What does it matter if we become super wealthy but cannot enjoy peace and happiness in the next life? We ought to convert our material treasures on earth into heavenly treasure by acts of loving kindness. Power, knowledge, and riches can be used for selfish pleasures and comforts or for the good of all humanity. If we have been blessed with wealth, what are we doing to help others less fortunate than ourselves? If we are less fortunate, we can still offer kind and comforting words and prayers for others. Kindness lasts forever and is never forgotten. We have been fooled into believing that wealth, good looks, power, and fame will guarantee happiness. Thanks to the many stars of Hollywood, California, whose lives are a mess, we know that these things alone will not bring us happiness. Some television commercials proudly proclaim a ridiculous and false statement: image is everything. Like fools, we rush out to buy what we cannot afford or do not need. Expensive cars, designer clothes, overpriced jewelry, and a host of beauty products. Our culture of consumerism constantly keeps telling us that we need more and more things. There's a difference between needs, basic comforts, and wants, things we desire or which are not essential for happiness. Enough is a word that the devil hates. It pains him, the devil, when people say, I have enough. I do not need any more. Let others less fortunate than myself have the rest. Enough puts an end to greed, one of the 7 deadly sins. Once we realize that we have enough, we are able to focus on our relationships and the needs of our less fortunate brothers and sisters in Christ. Our values of kindness, gentleness, compassion, honesty, forgiveness will enable us to nurture long-lasting, loving relationship. That is the true source of happiness. Long-lasting, loving relationships is the true source of happiness. We shall also discover that there is great joy in helping others. The rich fool in the gospel could only think of building larger barns. He never thought of sharing. He never never discovered the joy of giving. That very night he died, and at heaven's gate he was denied entry because he had no acts of loving kindness credited his name in the book of life. When you reach the heaven gates, can you name your acts of loving